You hear any of Brian Kelly speak with the media yesterday after spring ball day one?
I did not.
There's not a. I don't think it's anything. It's nothing to do an entire hour on or anything like that. But there were some interesting points of information gleaned from Brian Kelly meeting with the media yesterday. First off, I loved kind of the general attitude and approach to spring displayed by Brian Kelly. As yesterday was day one. Basically saying, look, during spring, there's no scoreboard, right? There's no winners or losers. This is about the total development of the player, learning what is expected of you, learning how to improve, mastering you and your craft. And then if you're a young guy, even in a later answer, he'd go on to talk about, if you're like a high school early enrollee, just how valuable this time can be, because not only are you learning mentally and physically what it's going to take to compete at this level, but you're also just learning how to live in college, when you should be a high school student. So I love the emphasis on, look, at the end of the day, you can do very good things here and you can put yourself in positions to win jobs, but ultimately this is not really about, beating out your teammate. It's about being the best you that you can be. And if you focus on honing that craft and maximizing yourself, everything else it comes after that, right? Like, if you're Marlon Martinez, you shouldn't be worried about, okay, Charles Turner's out, I got to do. No, you just focus on, okay, can I make myself into the best center that I can be? And then come fall time, you compete it out and you see who's going to win that center job. A few things to note, Jake, very light in the running back room here early on and probably for the rest of spring as Josh Williams is out, but I think he's going to return. Ramani Goodwin's going to be out all of spring. And then it looks like John Emery is out with academics, saying that's where his focus is. So kind of wild, Jake, like your top three guys, I don't know how available any of them are going to be for this spring portion. So, you got Trey Holly, who Kelly mentioned in the press conference yesterday. You got a lot of young guys that are going to get a lot of reps. And
a lot of times that's what spring is. This is, I guess, a little bit of a unique situation to have three of the top guys out. And it's not like offensive line because, like, one back typically, unless you're like in pony personnel, which LSU doesn't do, you only have one on the field at one time. And so there's going to be a lot of reps out there for Trey Holly, which is great. That is good, though. It's like baptism by fire.
Yeah.
Like, you're supposed to be in high school still, but you have this opportunity.
Yeah.
Go make the most of it because you know this, T. You've been a part of this. Make one play in spring that makes everybody go, ooh, ah.
Yeah,
you do that? Like, truly, you do that like one time in like an epic play, you're in the forefront of the coach's mind. I've seen it. It happens in the NFL still. Like, guys would go make a play, undrafted free agent rookie. He makes this incredible play, and like for the rest of camp, he's the camp darling. Every coach loves him. Every player loves him. You have that opportunity.
Yeah.
Now, are you going to have MAs, missed assignments? Without question. You're coming from a high school offense to a Denbrock offense. That's going to happen. You have to, as the canon would say, one snap and clear.
One snap and clear.
And just know that these are very valuable reps for you because they're going to be lenient with you because you are a high school senior. So just know, like, you're going to mess up.
Yeah. Move
on from it and do something special to keep what you're doing on the forefront of their memory.
Well, and already, Jake, there's a nice little anecdote from Brian Kelly yesterday where I think Trey Holly was really kind of maybe stewing in some of the mistakes that he made, and he found Coach Kelly after practice. He was looking for Frank Wilson. He apologized to Kelly, and Kelly basically said the same thing you did. He was like, "Look, man, just keep showing up, okay? Yeah. Keep showing up. Trust me when I say you're going to have a lot of reps with which to prove yourself." This spring, so don't worry. And then, as always, one snap and clear. And listen up, high schoolers, junior high kids, like who's ever doing spring football, that is the football golden rule and will always be. You cannot let the last play affect your next one. If you're trying to be the best you that you can be, you can't get in your own head because you had a bad play. One snap and clear.
And you've got a veteran player, Noah Kane, in that room that's going to be out there with you.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well. Yeah, but still, Trey Holly's going to get a ton of reps. He's going to get 1 rep. He's going to be in there with the first offense. Noah Kane cannot take every single 1 rep. So you have a veteran player who's played a lot of college football, a lot of different places, different conferences, got a lot of experiences he can help you out. Lean on him. And that player, and Noah Kane, has got to be somebody that understands that and needs to help him out. I mean, you could probably give 4 examples of offensive linemen that you remember trying to help out. I know for me, it was Charles Scott and Keelan Williams when they came in, right? You're trying to help them out because they're going to help you win football games.
Yeah.
So you need to go out there. You're both going to play, so don't be that guy. And go help him out, get him through it.
Yeah, Noah Kane should have no intimidation factor from Trey Holly, right? Not at this point in his career. One of the other major takeaway in terms of on the field stuff is the offensive line right now is light to the point of actually being a bit of a functional issue. Where Brian Kelly talked about how, maybe we don't have a full spring game. Maybe we do a little 7-on-7, some like individual drills. He also talked about how, just with how you got help on the way, but with guys like Charles Turner and some others missing time right now, that the second group's just a bit of a problem where he basically said, look, we got to figure out ways to get quality reps with the second group where we don't just have free runners coming to the holes because people are at a point in their careers where they're just making like pretty drastic mental errors. So I don't know exactly what that solution looks like. Certainly it's some development and maybe get some bodies back as this thing goes along. But so I think yesterday we said 10 scholarship offensive linemen right now, which means you barely have enough to make up the 2 groups. And who knows? Center especially, Jake, when you're talking about avoiding mental mistakes, everybody being on the same page, center is uber important, obviously. And not having your strongest guy mentally in Charles Turner and then going to Marlon Martinez. What do you have behind him? I think it's Fitzgerald West, and he's been playing that position, so maybe he's okay there. But, obviously the second O-line here for spring is going to be a bit of a problem. So they lack – it's weird. They have great frontline depth. They especially will come fall time when Lunsford is here, right? Like I said, I think they'll have 7 starting guys. But they lack the just raw numbers of depth to create the 3 offensive lines that any team would ideally want to have on the college level.
Yeah, if you go to On 3 and their transfer portal and you go and you take a look at who LSU's lost, it's all the backup offensive linemen. They all went elsewhere. We laid out, Doomerville goes to Maryland, and you lose Hill. You lose a ton of your depth pieces. Because, that's what college football is going to be. Nobody's going to feel sorry for LSU. That's what it is. Your backups are going to go somewhere to try to be starters. And so this is going to be a problem across the country. It's not just an LSU problem. Certainly on positions like the offensive line, where you can kind of see the writing on the wall. And if you have a veteran offensive line coming back, or not even a veteran because it's still young guys, but a starting offensive line coming back for LSU, you don't see a path. You're not going to beat out Will Campbell if you're Doomerville. You're not going to beat out Emory Jones, and so you leave.
Yeah.
And so that's what it's going to be across college football. And if you don't have those young guys as early enrollees, which LSU doesn't, they've got a handful that are coming in the summertime, in June, whenever they start back up. It's just going to kind of be the case. So, how do you handle it? Knowing it's probably going to be like this moving forward, well, you probably do the things that Brian Kelly's talking about. I don't know if we're going to do a spring game.
Yeah.
Spring game, that might be something that's a luxury to us this year. And we saw teams cancel spring games last year because of injuries and depth and different things.
So I think, the attrition may not be done, right? He was very blunt yesterday when asked about Marlon Martinez, basically saying, look, we really love Marlon's development and we want him to stick around, but we do know there's another transfer portal window opening up and that he could be a guy that could potentially leave, maybe depending on how this spring goes. So, But again, you're going to keep trying to get guys to leave their schools out of this second transfer portal window. And you got another group of 5 coming in between the freshmen and Lunsford. So it's, like Jake said, it's just a bit of the reality of modern college football here. And it's the consequence of having incredible young players, right? When you have that many young guys win starting jobs to the point where your entire starting offensive line returns, this is a byproduct of it because the other bodies in the group will be like, okay, well, I want to go play. Last thing that I loved from Brian Kelly's press conference yesterday, Jake, I loved his answer about playing in the SEC, right? Basically saying, look, I came to the SEC to play SEC teams, and the teams we got paired with we already played, so not much changed. And that all is what it is. But the part of the answer that I think I love the most is just he talked about yes, playing 9 conference games is tough, But when you move into the era of the expanded playoff, there is no better way to prepare your team to be able to handle those challenges than the 9 conference games. Basically acknowledging that trial by fire, while it will be harder to win as many games and everything else, that when you get in, you will be better for it because you'll be much more tested.
Yeah, I'd much rather have that mentality.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
Than the other mentality, without question. And you're rotating every other team, and the reason that we talk about it is because, and maybe why it matters who you're playing. Like, I'm going to miss some games that you've always played. Like, that's why I want to talk about it. But I also want to talk about there being a better schedule balance, because there will be a better balance. Like, even if your 3 permanent opponents are tougher than others, there will be a better balance to the schedule. And your opponents who have, when you've been playing Florida every year, that have been playing Vanderbilt and South Carolina, like, they got to rotate that thing too now.
Love it.
Right? So it pains me. I hate the fact that we won't see Chris Doering dress up every single October in something ridiculous because LSU owns Florida. I hate it. But you will get a more balanced schedule everywhere.
Yeah, funnily enough, the big losers in all of this are just the entire SEC East, because they no longer just get to play the SEC East. They now have to integrate with the West, which is going to cause a lot of them problems.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of teams that, off the record, some East coaches that they don't love it.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, they were the ones trying to block the 9-game schedule forever, which it looks like it's certainly going to happen now.
Oh, yeah.
So that was spring day 1, and I'm excited to watch this thing continue, even though it's a bit weird, Jake. We did this 1 year in college, and I loathed it. I think they have another practice I think tomorrow, and then I think they go on spring break. But Kelly was talking about how that gives them more time with the team, so like maybe he's not letting them go on spring break. I don't know entirely. I know
we did it like that every year I was here.
You had spring break in the middle? Okay, we only did it once like that. And
you did it your freshman year. Or were you here in?
No.
You didn't early enrollee?
Me and you never shared a spring together. No, I did not early enrollee. But I remember one year we did 2 weeks of practice, spring break, 2 weeks of practice, and it was just real weird to kick back into football mode after being on a beach in, Pensacola, drinking beers.
I was about to say,
for
what were you
7
doing
days straight. Yeah, exactly. Day 1 of spring in the books.